How you doing, guys? Today's Monday, March 30th. We're going to be going over some no-gi jiu-jitsu today. All right. So the theme of the week this week, we're going to be talking about submissions from guard, basic submissions from guard, going for them. But then what happens if someone starts to defend from a basic submission from the guard? What do we have as far as options to go to? So one thing I'm going to be really focusing on this week when I'm teaching these online classes is a failed triangle from the guard. Okay, which can happen a lot, especially against good opponents. But we do have a lot of options from a failed triangle from our guard. Sometimes I really like the options I have from a failed triangle, so I'll force a crappy triangle on somebody just to get them to react so that I can go to one of these options here. So one of the first things that we're going to do, we're going to practice just some triangles using the wall, and then we'll be able to practice this little option that we have off of a failed triangle by using the wall as well. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to lay on our backs close to the wall with our feet on the wall. Okay, we're going to practice locking up this triangle a little bit. The first thing that we're going to do is make sure that we get our hips off the ground. So I'm using my foot on the wall to get my hip off the ground, and I chop with my triangle. When I chop with my triangle, make sure that you keep that L in your foot, okay, in your ankle there. I'm going to grab onto my shin. Now I'm going to practice my quick transition to lock up that figure 4 triangle by getting the back of my knee onto my ankle. When I do that, notice I'm keeping my hips still off the ground. That quick transition is helping keep their posture down so that I get a successful triangle locked up. And when I do that, my foot isn't relaxed. I don't want to go over the top of my foot. I want my foot to be flexed, and I want to go over my ankle. Okay? Now we can practice our triangles just like that. I can reset. I can do the same thing. Hips up off the ground. I get my chop. I keep the L in my foot. I grab onto my shin, I lock up the back of my knee over my ankle. Quick transition, keeping my hips up off the ground. Okay, so that's our first little drill there that we can practice side to side using the wall for our triangles. Okay, so today what we're going to do as an option off of a failed triangle is a backwards roll. Okay, we call it a rollout. Done it a lot of times. It's helped me just get at least back up to my feet. So a lot of times we're, especially talking about no-gi jiu-jitsu, like talking about MMA fighting as well. If we're on the bottom, we're probably losing, right? So we want to try to get on top, try to at least get back to neutral and back to standing up with our opponent. So if we find ourselves stuck on the bottom, we can kind of force a triangle a little bit, just stuff a wrist, shoot the legs up. And if that doesn't quite work out for you because the person postures out of it, we can do a backwards roll. We can practice it here on the wall. So as I'm going through my triangle, okay, maybe I clear the arm, I bring my hips down to try to finish. If they posture out to where my leg goes from behind my knee to extended, where just my ankles are crossed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my feet on the wall, and now I can do a backwards roll. Usually the backwards roll is determined by your opponent. Okay, if you've kind of gotten a little tilted this way, it's going to be easiest to just do that backwards roll over your right shoulder. If you get turned a little bit this way while they posture out, it's going to be easier to just do a backwards roll over your left shoulder. But either way, we want to keep our feet on the wall, our hips are up off the ground, and we're going to push off the wall to get us into that backwards roll. And then we can stand up from there. So while we're practicing our triangles, hips up, clamp, we can also practice our rolling out. Do it one more time. Hips up, clamp, transition, and roll out. All using the wall, okay? I'll also kind of walk you through a couple times that I've been able to use this in fights specifically, and hopefully this works out for you. Okay, so now we're just going to go through a couple live examples of this rollout being used in actual competition. I've used this move quite a bit. Here's a couple examples that I found with it working for me. This first example is against a three-time Jiu-Jitsu world champ. Unfortunately, in the first round, he was able to take me down and hold me down for a long period of time. So now with the fight going back to the ground and me being on bottom, I knew I had to get up and out of there. I've been trying some butterfly hooks and things to try to get some separation, but you'll see here, I'm just going to play it in slow motion. I use a frame on the face to just create a little space between us. He's doing a good job keeping his head over my head, which is making him very hard to move. I'm going to frame a little bit on the face just to create a little separation and shrimp out. And by doing that, it encourages him to posture up, try to land some strikes down on me. He's really crowding my hips. So instead of getting stacked here under pressure and punches are going to start to rain down, I use this as an opportunity to roll out going backwards over my shoulder. Immediately, it's really important to try to get those hips high so that they don't try to come around and take your back, and get that elbow in between. Okay, and last one here for today, just seeing it with a different setup and a different ending. So from here, I'm on my back, but I have a overhook, and then with my right hand, I have wrist control. So another good grappler having a little bit of tough time just making anything happen. So I'm going to kind of force a potential triangle here, just getting one arm inside the guard, one arm outside. I'm just going to stuff that wrist as hard as I can and try to send my legs up over the top. Opponent's very good here, doing a good job driving forward, not allowing me to get too much up over the shoulders. Kind of starts with the punches a little bit. I fill that space with my knee so I don't get hit. And this space here is making him want to posture up a little bit and strike. And with that, I'm going to use the rollout, pushing off and rolling out over the shoulder. Now you're going to notice with this one, he tries to follow behind me, but I get my arm in between us, my right arm, which allows me to get that underhook and then finish on top here. So it's real important after you roll out to elevate your hips up and try to get that arm back in between you. Okay, that's it for today. A couple examples using the rollout. You can practice that against the wall and make it work for you. Thanks.